like someone destroyed a spider's web, I would be intensely angry at them. Like, that spider spent a month making a home and you destroyed its home. What is wrong with you? You know, and then I would cry about it. Who's not gonna make fun of a kid crying about another kid destroying a spider web? Y'all, it's weird. It's weird. I got bullied for it. Good YouTube, it's your girl Gracesandra. I am back for another video on being a highly sensitive person slash empath and why we tend to attract narcissists. So today I want to talk about how you can avoid these kind of people. As an empath and a highly sensitive person, I can say that people who might be called energy vampires, vampires in general, parasitic narcissists, those kind of people drain me to my core. But also, y'all, people like me, if you're an empath like me or a highly sensitive person, we are also parasitic to narcissists. So it's a mutual parasitic relationship, and that's why we have to learn as empaths and HSPs, highly sensitive people, how to not be like that. You might be a highly sensitive person if you're really compassionate, if you really care about people around you and animals as well, and if you're really deeply concerned about other people's well-being or even like the earth. If you're that kind of person, you might be an empath. Also, for me as an empath, I often take on the suffering of other people, and I have a really hard time creating a boundary between me and other people. Empaths tend to also be codependents because our boundaries are very mushy. If you're a highly sensitive person, I'm going to use empath and highly sensitive person interchangeably. You might not really notice how much other people's energy drain, negative attitude, the poisonous toxicness that other people emit, how much that is affecting you. Or on the other hand, you might have realized this is affecting me and taken it on. So for example, I grew up with a really very toxic brother who was physically violent, emotionally violent, verbally violent to all of us, to my mom and my sisters. I knew it was wrong, right? Because it was so overt and it was so over the top. You know, he was throwing things, he was saying bad things. I have a very distinct memory of watching him choke my sister almost to death. That was one of the most traumatic moments of my life, actually. The way that I coped with that was by taking on some of the things that he said as truth, which of course he was being verbally violent and they were lies. You might be an empath if you tend to really be a very generous person. If anybody asks you for money, you might be like, okay, I'll give it to you, even if it might be sacrificial for you. You want to be a healing force for other people and you want to do good and be good for other people, but your life isn't going as well as it could be because you're giving just too much. Now, I'm not trying to say that empaths are saints, that we're the salt of the world, but anything overdone is going to make you sick. Eating too much of anything is going to make you sick. So an empath giving too much time, energy, love, compassion, whatever it is, if we're doing it too much, it's going to make us sick. If you're an empath who feels like sometimes you're just losing yourself in these relationships, you're losing yourself in communication with your bosses, with your cousins, with anybody, that you feel like that's you, almost to the point that you're going crazy, just consider that you might be an empath who needs a little extra help. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because often empaths can be targeted by narcissists because of our empathy, because of our compassion, because of our mushy boundaries, because we tend to be codependents. And that's something that I am learning at my big age of 45 that I have to deal with very specifically because I have continued to have narcissists in my life try to take advantage of me. All that to say, y'all, there is hope. We don't have to be giving so much of ourselves that our lives are diminished, and that's what I'm learning. So I want to invite you to come on this journey with me. So the first thing is, let's get an understanding of just what it means to be an empath slash highly sensitive person or HSP. So as an empath slash HSP, you might be someone who you realize that you have these relationships with your coworker, boss, lover, wife, husband, and you feel like every time you're around them, you feel really very drained, but you can't quite articulate why or what's making you feel drained. HSPs also have this innate ability where we go somewhere and depending on the mood of the room, it could be a concert, a giant outdoor festival, or something where there's like a lot of noises, a lot of people, and you just suddenly feel angry. You suddenly feel like there's a lot of toxic energy around me and I'm just not feeling this. I find that empaths, especially without good sense of boundaries, tend to really feel that. I have to be so careful the places I go because I do sometimes feel this inexplicable need to start crying, and it's not related to anything. It's just that I'm literally taking on toxic energy of all these people around me. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe if you're not a highly sensitive person or empath, it sounds insane, but I'm telling you, that's what it feels like. That's the feedback from a lot of other people too who are really high empaths, is that when there's a lot of toxic energy, it can just be too much. It can be too overwhelming. So for me, for example, So I have never seen more than 3 horror movies in my entire life, because when I was a kid, I knew right away horror movies were the devil for me. Like, it was just like, if you want to torture me, tie me to a chair and put horror movies in front of me, because it's the worst experience. The toxicity of trying to scare me is just too much. So I don't watch anything scary, no scary TV, no scary movies, no nothing, y'all. Tell me if you agree in the comments. I have all my life been called too sensitive in every single area. Too sensitive. You're too sensitive to comments, to feedback, to everything in life. Too sensitive since I was a little kid. And I think that there is an element of truth to that with empaths, is that we are too sensitive. But is that a wrong thing? Is it a bad thing? It's just something we need to learn how to manage. You might not relate with all of this, right? Some empaths are really very sensitive to other people's feelings and thoughts, and some are very sensitive to environments. I think I'm someone who's very sensitive to all of it. Because I am too sensitive. Highly sensitive people were very sensitive, again, to the energy. Very sensitive to the energy. We are all energetic beings. We all have energy. Everything has energy. The trees, the plants, the bugs, us, the environment, it's all radiating energy. So if the energy is toxic or negative, the empaths around you are feeling it and carrying it, or noticing it and choosing not to carry it. Let me know in the comments if there's environments or places where you've been where you just felt like, I just can't stay. I literally cannot stay. I feel like I'm gonna crawl out of my skin. There's a woman, she wrote the Empath Survival Guide or something. She said that empaths and highly sensitive people are very porous. We're just like a sponge where we take it all in. There was an environment that I was in several years ago where I felt like sick to my stomach being in that environment, and I had to go, or else it was gonna, felt like my brain was gonna explode or something. Hey y'all, this is Future Editing Grace on August 18th. I'm coming in for a commercial break to let y'all know I do monthly group coaching. It's every first Sunday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we get together on Zoom, only 40 of us, because I want it to be a smaller group so that we can all have a chance to talk and learn from each other and get to know each other and form a family-like community, where it's for people who have been through some severe trauma, narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, trauma from your parents, trauma from a recent relationship. Women only, but people who have the need to get it out and express and really learn from one another. It's $25, very affordably priced, less than the price of therapy. Not that it should replace therapy. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. So I will leave the link below. Of course, it's the monthly group community chat. So yeah, I hope you'll join us. The next one is, again, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is below in the description box. I really hope to see you there. This Sunday is going to be about how to not attract toxic people. I am talking about people who are in the dark triad: narcissist, psychopath, sociopath. If you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, this is for you. So what does this look like day to day? Empaths tend to be very good at blending in because we don't want to show everyone what freaks we are. I mean, it's true, y'all. It's really true that there are times where I don't really want to even say some of the stuff I'm saying because it can sound really weird. So when you're growing up as a kid, feeling all this, experiencing all this, especially if you were in a household where you weren't allowed to express any of this weirdness, you tend to contort and to hide. There was a time in my childhood, like 7th, 8th grade-ish, so we're talking the 11, 12, 13, 14 range or so, where I felt like I just wanted to take on other people's identity because I didn't want to feel so weird about being someone basically as sensitive as I was. So I did try to pretend for a little while that everything rolled off my back, that nothing hurt me, that I was just this, you know, bad girl. And I wasn't, y'all. I was the little girl who literally cried about everything. When people make a stereotype of like, you're just a little girl, you cry about everything, that was me. You look up that stereotype in the dictionary, there's my picture. I was the little girl who cried about everything. And I got made fun of so bad. And actually this animal thing that I mentioned at the beginning was such a huge one for me, y'all. I would cry so hard if I saw an animal being hurt. Actually, later on I had a therapist who called it animal displacement disorder. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but basically she was saying that I was, the trauma of my childhood, it was too much and too big for me to process, and so I basically projected it onto animals so that it gave me a space to cry so that I wouldn't like basically lose my mind, become schizophrenic essentially, and like disassociate and become two different people. In some ways it was healthy, but I think as an empath and a highly sensitive sensitive person, crying over animals getting hurt every time I saw an animal hurt, or if like someone destroyed a spider's web, I would be intensely angry at them. Like, that spider spent a month making a home and you destroyed its home. What is wrong with you? You know, and then I would cry about it. Who's not gonna make fun of a kid crying about another kid destroying a spider web? Y'all, it's weird. It's weird. I got bullied for it. So needless to say, empaths and highly sensitive person, we tend to carry around a lot of pain, and some of it is just unnecessary, and that's what I'm learning to get rid of. Being told that you're weird or crazy or treated like a circus freak, but also internalizing other people's pain is just a big giant weight on 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 weight. Again, if you're a highly sensitive person or an empath, let me know the ways that you tend to hide. Some people hide from technology, from sharing anything online. That's not me, actually. Different environments, from movies, from TVs, from horror. Some people hide from relationships. Some people hide and leave their family behind. There's lots of different ways that people hide to protect themselves from pain as empaths. Some people even hide from smells. Some empaths have reported that they just literally can't take certain smells. It's just too much for them. But let's look at some of the goodness of being an empath and HSP. So yeah, it can be super annoying to feel this much this often. I've had two people in my life, two really important people in my life actually. One who is a mentor to me say,
how do you go around every day feeling so much so often? If I were you, I would just want to kill myself.
I literally couldn't believe he said that. And actually it was kind of funny because that was in college when he said that to me, and it was before I really had a sense of any of this. For him to say,
how do you go around feeling so much so often?
I didn't know that it was a choice. I didn't know that I could choose to not feel as much as often or not feel the things that I'm feeling. I thought I was a slave to my feelings, and that's one of the things that I really want to help you work with if you're someone who, like me, has felt like you're a slave to your feelings and your sensitivities. But later in life, one of my best friends also pointed out, like, Grace, you feel so much so often that it overwhelms you and it's hindering your life. And I totally agree with her. I had to get to a point where I had to harness some of this and use it towards my advantage before it like just literally ruined and decimated every relationship and everything in me. The good thing is that empaths and highly sensitive people tend to be healing people. We tend to be healers and lovers. And when healing and kindness and love and compassion and decency, when those things are balanced, it's a beautiful thing. I call myself often a wounded healer. There's a book I read, I will link it below, called The Wounded Healer, and I really resonated with that I'm someone who has extreme severe trauma, chronic trauma, basically over my lifetime, and my number one goal in life is to be a healer and to help other people get through the kind of trauma that I've been through, because I know how painful and how hard it was for me. So a lot of my life has been dedicated towards healing others, and there's something about that is both selfish and selfless, because it's selfish because it makes me feel good and makes me feel better about myself, but it's selfless because I could be doing other things with my life, but I really do want to pour into others and heal. And I think that motivation comes from basically just who God made me as a healing, empathetic person. As a result, people have told me over the course of my life that I make them feel seen, I make them feel heard, I make them feel loved, I make them feel wanted. I've helped heal them. So many people in my life have told me that over the years, and I've done careers that have allowed me to have that space. But even what I'm doing now and trying to make YouTube a career is a continuation of that, of me having a space where I can help to heal other people, because it's important to me, because I want to, and I can do what I want to do. Another thing that's good about us empaths and highly sensitive people is that we tend to be drawn towards healing energies in general. So being outside in nature is a healing place, and for me, being outside in nature is just, it's like my heaven. Like, I love hiking, I love being on the beach, I love grounding, which is like literally putting your feet in the dirt, in the sand, in the water, letting the energy from the earth come up into your body and just offer a healing presence. I love the sun. Like, I call myself a sun worshiper in some ways because I just love being out in the sun. I literally love the feeling of being hot, because I know like there is a star that's like a bajillion miles away that's emitting heat, that's emitting this energy that literally makes me feel something about that that's just kind of beautiful. Not everyone finds so much peace and rest being outside. That's part of me, I think, as a highly sensitive person, just being aware like this is a good, positive, beautiful energy. But when you have that sense, y'all, if you can get to yourself, not like I'm one with nature, I just like being outside, okay? But if you get that sense, y'all, you will start to feel how it affects you on a cellular level. I have a sense when I'm outside and I'm in nature and I'm just sitting in front of like a beautiful, peaceful creek by myself. I can hear the birds, I can see little fish jumping. I just have a sense like this is healing me on a cellular level. It's deeper than just I'm going outside for a walk. That's part of the gift of being an empath. It's just I'm taking it in a way that's deeper than other people can. So if you feel like you're a highly sensitive person or an empath, cherish it, y'all, cherish it. So there's some studies that say 70% of empaths are women, 20% are men. The study says empaths tend to be the ones who give 80% while everyone else gives 20. They are the CEOs, managers, parents who run the PTAs, the ones who push for humanitarian causes, philanthropists, etc. And then we also have like the shamans, the healers, the tarot card readers, witches, you know, the old souls from all walks of life, people who are deeply invested in helping other people on this life journey. But here's where it gets serious, y'all. We radiate a positive, compassionate energy that narcissists love to feed on, like literally Edward Cullen eating a deer, feed on. It's a lifeline of supply for narcissists. They have their high level of confidence in getting us, and we have our high level of confidence in healing them, which is so misguided. And because empaths and highly sensitive people tend to really believe in the goodness of people, we walk around with this annoying sense of naivete, which I really have. That's why I can say it like that, because I am annoyingly naive. As much as I know, I still always want to believe in the goodness of people. Like literally as recently as months ago, my best friend, she said to me, I was telling her about how I might get back with an ex-boyfriend, and she was like, what about this problem? What about this issue? What about this issue? And I was like, yeah, I think he's really changed. And she was just like, Grace, you have this really annoying ability. Want to see the best in people and really hope they change, and they don't, honey. They don't. People don't change. I love you, but he has not changed. And I was like, but I think he has, Jean. I really think he has. First of all, Jean, my best friend, one of my best friends, is like a licensed psychotherapist. She's been a therapist for like 10 years. She's amazing at what she does. She knows what she's talking about. That man just like 3 weeks later ended up beating me up, and now I have a PPO against him. And I think he's really toxic, actually. So yeah, I was wrong. I wanted to naively believe the best, and I was dead ass wrong. But because of that, we stay in relationships that drain us, y'all. And when I say that situation where I ended up getting beat up, it was 8 weeks of being drained to the bone, to the point that, again, I felt completely suicidal and just out of my mind. I can't quite explain how much it drained me to try to get him to change and be a good person for me, because he said he loved me, and he was just sucking me dry, like mouth and neck, draining the life force out of me for 8 weeks until I was assaulted. So if you're someone who stayed with someone or stayed in contact with someone, even if it's your mom or dad, or stayed in a relationship with someone who's draining you till you feel like you're going to die, first of all, you're probably an empath or HSP, but you have to stop. And yeah, we can learn these skills, y'all. We can become more adept at recognizing red flags and choosing not to try to engage. We can become more adept at building walls so that narcissists and people who are extremely and extraordinarily toxic can't get to our lifeline, can't get to our blood, to our compassion, to our naivete, to the goodness that we want to emit in the world. Because y'all, here's the thing, if we don't figure this out, you can't live up to your full potential. You can't be healthy and energetic and really do the good in the world that you want to do. You can't be as loving and as kind and as giving as you want to be. And a lot of this has to do with the wounding of our own past and how we're trying to heal the wounding of our own past. So we have to look into it. And I say this with so much love, because I have seen this derail my life so many times, where I have been actively trying to heal the men in my life who I love, who I've loved, who I've tried to see the good in, as a result of trying to be the extreme level of good, high empath, in turn watching them decimate my soul. It's taken me away from, as a result, I've careened my career, become a more distracted, dysfunctional mother. Even though I try really hard to be a good mom, there's just ways that I can see that the depression that I face as a result of what I've been through is hard on them. And that's not acceptable, not for me. There are ways I could have had even more of an impact on other people, and I haven't been able to, because I've been so careened and decimated by what I've allowed parasitic relationships to do to me. So I say this with so much love and goodness. I'm gonna end this for now so it doesn't get too long, but come back for part 2.